Christians in 1970s Syria. Written by Islam Civ. Nasara. Before I met Ibrahim, I assumed everyone who wore clothes like his was a Muslim, but I could not have been more wrong. In the morning before I left, two other farmers dressed in the same way called by. They had heard that there was a visitor who lived in Egypt and they wanted to hear about the millions of Egyptian Coptic Christians about whom I knew shamefully little. Ibrahim's family would normally read a story from the Bible together before they went to bed, and I have no doubt his religion, and the identity which flowed from it, were important to him. I had stumbled across a part of the mountains where most people were Christian. Over the following 2 days as I headed north, I would stop to talk to boys and girls walking home from school who confirmed this, since their first question was about my nationality, but they then immediately asked me my religion and proudly told me theirs. I couldn't help noticing the little Orthodox church in almost every village. Ibrahim and his 2 sons honored me as a guest in a traditional Arab way. They slept on mattresses on the floor beside me, because they were concerned I might feel lonely so far from home. They even lent me a white nightgown for the occasion. I experienced their hospitality, their generosity and their courtesy, 3 great Arab virtues. However, I did not meet Ibrahim's wife or daughter, except when they brought in breakfast in the morning and arrived to sweep the floor. Their heads were wrapped in scarves and their arms covered to the wrist, the traditional dress of the mountains for Christian and Muslim women alike. This was a peasant society in which the sexes were segregated to a greater extent than would generally have been the case with peasants in Western Europe. It was a cultural norm that was not a badge of religious identity. Ibrahim's eyes were moist as I left. Karim accompanied me on the first leg of my journey when I left in the morning. We walked up the green hillside through a mist, spotting the carcass of the cow which the vet had been unable to save lying in a ravine with its stiff legs stretched up to the sky. Quite suddenly, we found ourselves under the walls of the castle where we said goodbye. Karim talked to me about fask, which was a new Arabic word for me and which he did not know how to translate into English. He eventually settled for moral degeneration. Moral degeneration was the great threat to the modern world, this young Christian Syrian said, then told me it came from the West. I thought guiltily of the trickle of Westerners who came to Egypt as discreet sex tourists, something Muslim friends in Cairo had not hesitated to point out to me. The West, I was beginning to realize, lacked moral authority in the eyes of many Arabs. It might have great power, but it did not necessarily command respect. 1. The featured image is of St. George's Monastery, Homs, established in the 5th century CE.